just 1 point separated Manchester City and Liverpool last season. In the fight for the Premier League title, there was just one penalty when they met in the Community Shield at the weekend. So, gentlemen, does that suggest it's going to be just as tight?
Yeah, I think so. Heart and head telling me City to win.
No, employer tells you City.
No, heart and
work
head
for Manchester City.
I played for Everton, so I don't want Liverpool to win. But no, I think anyone that finishes above them two teams wins the league. I do believe City have got the edge at the moment. I just think,
why?
I've seen even in pre-season they just look like it's not stopped. It just seems like it's continued the way they play, and they've played Premier League teams where obviously Liverpool have had a bit of a stutter in regards to players not coming back, so they're not at full flow yet. But I think that the way they've performed over the last 2 years, they've earned the right to be favourites again. I'm sure Liverpool obviously are going to be equally determined, but what's surprising for me is that no other team are talking about winning the league. It's only them two. Like, Man United have ruled themselves out. Chelsea I'm not talking about it. Spurs, I'm not saying we can win the league. And I'm like, your team should be talking about winning the league. It shouldn't be, just to get into the four. We shouldn't be going that. Yeah. Like, that's crazy.
If anything, John, is it almost strange this year that the top two are nailed on? The next two are far from certain, and the top six, perhaps for the first time realistically, is nowhere near as certain as it ever been.
Yeah, well, exactly. Look, how Man City and Liverpool finished the season last season, and people are saying, I don't think you can see Liverpool doing that again. And I'd say, I think you can, going on that run. They have the quality. They'll have that belief of obviously winning that Champions League again. They'll have, they haven't maybe added as much maybe that they wanted to the squad yet. Some of their players have come back in a bit later from whether it be the Copa America and the African nations. So, but I think when you saw them play against City in the Charity Shield, like they're well up for it. They're going to catch on very quick. The fitness, the start of the season.
What have they got to do to overhaul Manchester City? I mean, it was only, as we said, 1 point in it. But what have they got to do?
I think it proved the games against City were the deciding factor. Yeah. They've got to make sure that they don't lose those games.
Is it head-to-head this year? Is that coming this season, the head-to-head rule?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
it is. So that'll be even more crucial for it. And I think inside you'll have Chelsea, Arsenal, Spurs, United. They will be talking about winning the league. They will. Maybe.
If you're in the Liverpool camp, if you're Jurgen Klopp, how do you not convince your players, because you're exceptionally good players it is, but Manchester City are this, despite the amount of games they lost, Liverpool only losing one, they are this relentless, intense machine. How do you step up to that level? Or do you say to yourselves, listen, last year was a freak in, I think it was 75% of the previous 15 Premier Leagues. I'm making these numbers up, of course. Along those lines,
would have got them.
You'd have been champions. So do you say, have confidence in what you did last season? They may well not be at the same level. Just do what you did, or is there a conscious effort to step up?
It has to be a conscious effort to step up, because as Jolien said, Man City won't. They will want to have that continuous progress. Yeah, they'll want to do better in the Champions League, and yeah, they'll want to hope to challenge, obviously, for the final, get to the latter stage of the Champions League. Will they take their eye off the ball? Well, no, they won't, because of their manager, because of the quality of their squad. So the Liverpool players and the rest of the teams will have to use that as motivation to think, right, we have to do better again. Whether it's that little bit, not to hope that a team will fail. Just look at inside the dressing room, look at yourselves, concentrate on themselves, and if they do that...
Yeah, because Man City have given you no reason to believe that they can't achieve that again. As I said, they've done it for the last couple of years, and I think that's the biggest thing that Pep has brought to Man City, is that he's ruled out any complacency. They treat every team with the respect they deserve, and no stone is left unturned. So I think it would be naive if Liverpool thought, well, we can do what we did last season and Man City won't do their job. I think they're just going to be going out there to kind of match, obviously, every result and then beat them in the head-to-head, and who knows what can happen at towards the end of the season.
Liverpool might have a slight worry of their players coming back in late.
Yeah.
Privately, I think they'll be a little bit worried about that intensity that they might need they're first up against
Norwich.
Norwich,
Friday night.
and you're thinking Norwich will be so pumped up, and obviously you think, yeah, Liverpool have the quality to take care of Norwich, but if the last 10, 15 minutes of that game, and if players have not had that full pre-season, next thing there's a tweak of a hamstring, there's a tweak, and it could be one of your most important players gone for 2 months early on in the season from the first game because they've had to push so quickly. So there'll be a bit of a balance. But look, their managers, the Klopp has the quality to know that enough which players will he be able to push and trust that if he needs to late on in the game.
I mean, what is that pressure like for Liverpool, knowing there is just no margin for error?
It is tough, but you know you have to respond to it as a player. That's your test. That's your challenge. If you want to be lifting that trophy at the end of the season.
So it comes with playing with the top teams. You kind of expect that to be the pressure.
You want it. You want that pressure. That's why you go to the club.
Yeah, of course. You want to be the best, and I'm sure that the goal of winning the title for Liverpool is a massive kind of focal point for them. So obviously they've done Champions League and obviously they've done that in recent history, but to win the Premier League for Liverpool would be huge.
I mean, it's slightly defeatist, but I can understand why you're saying it. But do you seriously think then that no other clubs outside those two are thinking they can? I mean, they obviously can't say it publicly, but nobody else can have a go.
Why can't they say it publicly? They should be saying it publicly.
Well, they can't.
But I'm like, Ali Solskjaer has said that they're not close to Man City at the moment in time, and I'm like, well, then you're ruling yourself out of the title.
A bit of realism too, though. I know what you're saying.
Of course, but you should.
Inside, I'm sure Ollie and the rest of the Emre at Arsenal, Pochettino, they will have that drive to say, if we get it off to a positive start in the season, momentum, etc., we can get up there and challenge. But
publicly saying you're not going to win the title, I just find it strange that they're not talking about it like they shouldn't be. You know what I mean? I get that there's factors that obviously Frank's gone in at Chelsea and it's a different situation there. I do think that was the timing of all them components are perfect for Chelsea and Frank. But I'm sure he's kind of, having won the title with Chelsea, I'm sure he's going to, same as Ollie, they're going to want to win it. And I'm just finding it strange that they're not talked about to win it. It's only Liverpool or City that everyone's saying.
Is it clever though as well, in that even if privately thought with a fair wind and a bit of luck, they could have a go. It's clever management. Take the heat off yourself and say, no, forget about us.
Maybe mind games, clever. But again, the fact that it's two teams and the way they performed last season, there's not going to be another season where they don't perform. Both of them are not going to.
A few teams, United, Chelsea, first up Sunday.
Yeah.
Like the momentum, those two teams, either way, could get from that game. Yeah. Such a big game already. Like could be a real boost for them. Could be a real boost for either team if they get that win.
If you look at those four clubs, then so if we say Tottenham, Chelsea, Arsenal, Manchester United, do you think what have they been more worried about? The gap to the two at the top, or the gap to those coming up hot on their heels? Yeah. Your Leicesters, your Wolves, Everton are investing. Yeah. Spending money. I mean,
they're investing right.
Exactly, and I'm sure there'll be one or two other clubs supporters out there right now saying, "Hey, why aren't you mentioning us as well?"
Yeah, they will be, but I think they'd have to. That's what you're talking about. If they're not, they'd have to be talking about the top four. They shouldn't be worrying too much about the chasing pack. Yeah, they are improving their squads, but
have they got reason? Have they got reason to be worried? If you're Arsenal, are you looking over your shoulder at the likes of Leicester City?
A little bit when you look at the player.
I wouldn't say Leicester. Yeah. They haven't invested the same.
Who are you saying then?
I'm definitely saying Everton. And the way Wolves have performed, I'll definitely say them. I definitely believe that the way Everton have invested this season, they're going to be pushing for a top.
Yeah. Well, Leicester still have a bit of time to.
Yeah, of course. Yes.
Reinvest some of
as well.
Yeah.
But Everton have invested before and it hasn't worked out. What makes you think they're different this season?
I think it's just more wisely this time. They haven't invested in the same positions, the same kind of players. I think the year when it was Wayne and Sigurdsson and
they had kind of four number 10s almost, didn't they?
It didn't make sense, but I think they've been a lot more astute in their business now. Obviously, Moise Keane's come in there and he's regarded as one of the top European talents as well.
Come on then, who's going to finish in the top 4 out of those 4 behind?
See,
Oh, we've just give Liverpool and City the top 2, haven't we?
yeah. But
I've given it to them.
Yeah,
already.
I have, and then I put Spurs. I think Spurs will finish 3rd because I think there's more stability there than the other teams. The fact that Pochettino has been there longer than Ole Gunnar and Frank, they've invested wisely again this season. I think the next in line they are for the next season anyway. I think after when Frank gets a couple of windows to invest and Ole Gunnar kind of obviously stamps his authority on Man United, I think they'll be obviously pushing again. But I think for next season, Spurs are definitely the 3rd most equipped team.
I'll go for Spurs and Manchester United just to sneak in.
I'll go on Chelsea.
What is this? The old appreciation for your old clubs, you two? You're really sticking your neck out, aren't you?
Look, Wan-Bissaka obviously showed at Palace, and he showed in pre-season as well the quality. Maguire going in, young James, the wide player, he's going to give him that maybe not initially say into the team, but that counter-attacking speed that they've had. Like I saw one of the games in pre-season, it was
Good time to be at the game.
So, all right, then, quickly, before we go on to the transfer market, if that's your top 4, who do you think is vulnerable in the top 6 for the likes of the Evertons?
unless if Arsenal can do some business defensively. I think they've attacking wise.
Yeah, their bet
seem
front
to
three
yeah.
is as exciting as any. Again, Pepe's a great talent. I've seen him a few times last season, and exciting player to come into the Premier League. So I think that up front there, they're well
I don't think that's the problem.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I mean. If they can get something done,
they're vulnerable.
So they could be vulnerable.
Yeah, I think unless they can get something done the last few days of the window defensively to help them, they definitely could be vulnerable.
I mean, they spent 70 odd on Pepe. Would they have been better off going for Maguire?
We'll see. We'll see at the end of the season if Pepe scored 20 odd goals and he's got them into the top 4, then they've gone the right way. But I think everyone's been looking at Arsenal thinking you're okay attacking wise. You just need to make sure that they shore things up elsewhere. But it's not happened yet.
Okay. It all finishes 5 o'clock on Thursday. Transfer deadline. So far, which signings impressed you the most? What would you say is the signing of the transfer window so far?
For me, I'm Ndombele at Spurs. I've seen him against City last season for Lyon. I was very impressed.
Why? Because him as a player, or what he can bring? What is he, and what can he bring to Spurs?
Well, going to obviously hold him midfield. Even though Sissoko did very well there last season, but I think he's more of a defensive-minded player. He's not going to be running box to box. But for me, he's
top player.
Yeah, top talent, top player. And I'm excited to see him play in the Premier League.
I'm looking forward to seeing Joleton and Haller as well. The physicality that West Ham and Newcastle have gone for in that sense. They're big, strong, attacking players. Look, it's one of them. Keane as well.
Yeah.
The glimpses that he'd shown for Juventus.
Yeah.
I'm thinking you're looking at
a top-class player.
Yeah, you're looking at a talent there.
I'm surprised they let him go, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. He's age and that, and I'm like, well, he's definitely one for the future. He's an international.
Maybe they have a
buyback.
They might be thinking he'll get great experience there and come back and really be able to kick on when Ronaldo eventually retires in about 10 years' time after scoring another 1,000 goals or something. But no, look, the Premier League, it's attracted top quality talent again, and there's lots of exciting attacking players to look forward to.
Of course, not all of the clubs have spent big money. The promoted clubs, Aston Villa, 130, 140 million so far. We saw Fulham do similar, but that's the very obvious comparison to make, but are they very different cases?
I think they're very different cases because I think the clubs are so different. I think Villa would have always felt they're a Premier League team. I'm sure they would have had their scouts working very hard on identifying certain targets quite quickly when they knew that they were going to get back into the Premier League. And I think the age bracket of the players that they brought in And you see, like,
Yeah, but also 3 of them were there last season. So it's not obviously
Yeah.
new signings, but they're not new players to the club and English football. So Mings,
No.
obviously Courtney House and Hadassah the winger, obviously were there last season and played a part in their promotion. So that's a
yeah, and that's a
obviously
large
big
chunk of that.
yeah,
100
so,
and,
yeah,
was it 40 odd
million, yeah.
million? So.
And what about the other 2 promoted sides?
Yeah, obviously they probably would have liked to invest a lot more, but
Sheffield United brought a few in.
Yeah.
Norwich relatively quiet.
yeah. Which I don't mind because, as I said, them players got you
Yeah.
promoted, so they deserve an
I think
opportunity.
Norwich in particularly went with the
Yeah.
kind of youth last year, and I think they're kind of going to stick to that. I think Sheffield United have gone with talent from the Championship that could develop into Premier League quality. That's what they're hoping. They could have a little joker in their pack with Ravel Morrison too. And obviously played against McBurney a couple of times as well. He can find a goal. You know, he could be a diamond for them as well.
Is this the one? Everyone says about Ravel Morrison, one of the most amazing talents they've ever seen. Could this be it? Could this be right place, right time?
Yeah.
Like, how good is he?
Yeah, exactly. Look, he's got to show that now. From people talking about him, former players talking about him. He's got a chance now, and I think the manager there will be perfect for him to make sure that if he's in that team, he will have shown Chris Wilder during the week in training why he should be in that team. If he's starting in that team or coming on and making an impact, because they're going to have a very competitive squad. That's what he wants. He's shown that how they've been successful, how they've got the promotions, because of the trust and the togetherness of the squad as well. And if Ravel is not shown a part of that, the chance he's been given, he'd be very foolish. And what a platform now to show that talent.